Hey everybody, I am back. Sonia Lakhani here for those of you who don't know me. And today I have one of my 2 weeks of trademarks alums with me, Nicole Oden. Thank you so much for being here and thank you for making time.
Of course. Thanks for asking me to do this. I'm excited to chat with you.
Of course. Yes. So I like to let folks introduce themselves so they can tell you a little bit of background about themselves and what you're up to these days.
Yeah, so my name is Nicole Oden. I have my own virtual law practice, Nicole Oden Law PC. I'm licensed in California. I've been licensed for almost 11 years now, and I have a boutique law firm. So we practice settlement-minded family law, so out-of-court settlement-minded type cases. But I also work with online businesses to protect their brands and their businesses with custom contracts and policies and with trademark registration now.
Look at you go. Oh, I can't wait to dive. Your story is one that I think is very relatable and will resonate with a lot of people because it's tough out there. It's tough when you're in a practice area that you're not loving, or dare I say hating. We don't want to say it public. Some people don't want to say it publicly, and that's okay, So let's go all the way back. Talk to me about where you were before you came across me or my material, or even the idea of another practice area like trademarks, right? Like, where were you? Like, what was your headspace like? What was life like?
Yeah. So, I mean, in law school, I had already made a decision. I wanted to practice family law, and I had like personal reasons for that. So I clerked for the former presiding judge of the Los Angeles County Superior Court, and kind of cut my teeth on some really big divorce cases. And as soon as I graduated, as soon as I passed the bar, that was kind of where I niched down. And so I've practiced family law since becoming licensed. I was, litigating in and out of court, probably 4 days a week, working 14-hour days. And I did enjoy what I was doing, but I saw that there was a better way to handle disputes, right? For families, I just don't think that the family law courtroom is the best place because it is so adversarial. And so kind of early on in my career, I was kind of like, it doesn't feel right for families. And so I kind of learned early on that I really wanted to focus on the out-of-court processes, which I couldn't do at my former firm. And then I had my daughter in 2016, and a trial calendar just didn't work with having a 3-month-old at home. And I kind of just said, you know what, I'm gonna try something different. And so I started my virtual practice and focused on the settlement-minded part of family law, so out-of-court processes, mediation and collaborative law, which was great. And I did that for 4-ish years, and then COVID hit. And even the settlement-minded type family law cases were very stressful. And it's funny because like around, I want to say 2017, 2018, after I had my daughter, I kind of stumbled into the online business space, and I was connecting with other female service providers in the online space. And they would find out I was an attorney, and all of a sudden, like, they'd be Instagram DMing me like legal questions about their contracts and stuff. And it wasn't an area that I specialized in. So it was always kind of like, well, why don't you just find an attorney, like ask these questions? And I started to learn how different the online business space was. And so I, started doing some research, and I ended up adding like online business law as a practice area to kind of balance out some of the family law stuff because I found it so interesting. And working with entrepreneurs has it's been fun. It's been something different. So I had already done that in the contract space and legal strategy and those types of things. And they were asking trademark questions. And so I was kind of teaching myself trademark stuff, but I was referring it out. So it was like, I knew enough to be dangerous to know when it was time for them to talk with another attorney. And around COVID time, family law was getting more contentious. And I was thinking, well, why am I referring this out? Like, why am I not I took on contract law and I'm handling that. Like, it's part of brand strategy and protection. Why wouldn't I just add trademark registration? And I was kind of thinking about it and stumbled on your Instagram somehow. I don't even know how. It was like the universe was listening. It was so weird.
Oh my gosh.
And you were advertising 2 weeks to trademark. And I was like, hello. And so I signed up.
And then you were like, cool. Okay. And did you have any qualms at that point of like this lady on the internet? Like, I don't know. And
so I insta stopped you, and I was looking at posts, and then I stumbled into the trademark attorney group on Facebook. And what really resonated with me was the community that you had built. I practice in Los Angeles County, California. And so attorneys are just very contentious here, and it is what it is. And so there wasn't really this sense of community. I kind of carved out my little niche of other female attorneys that were supportive, but it was like a whole other ballgame in the group that you had created and seeing people commiserating and supporting and mentoring, and it wasn't anything you had to pay for. They weren't shaming you if you had a question. They weren't, berating you for not kind of understanding everything. And I really liked that. So it's kind of like, okay, well, I want to join the Nicole Club too. So,
right. It's like, oh, like come sit with us.
Yeah. So I signed up and then I ended up upgrading.
I saw that.
So, yeah.
I love that.
History.
Yeah. And so how long ago was that you?
So it was like around the time COVID started. So it was like 2020.
2020. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is like a great time to check in and just kind of see like, it's been enough time, but it's still early-ish on, where you're still kind of implementing and doing different things. So, at that time, obviously you had to undertake, instruction. Was there anything, take a course, take the knowledge. Was there, any doubts you had or sort of anything in your mind about like, okay, how am I going to build this practice area out next to family law? Like, cause they don't overlap a ton in a sense, but talk to us about how you kind of gone about that, like building two things at once or weaning off of one area in a way.
Yeah, no, it's been interesting. I like to say I have like a yin and yang practice because I have super highly emotional family law, which I feel like I could do in my sleep at this point because I've been doing it so long. And then contract law I've been doing for a while, and that's, I've built that up. And trademarks just kind of came naturally with the contract piece. So I was always doing so much of the strategy and like helping online businesses because building a brand is such a big thing in the online business space. And so it was kind of, it goes hand in hand. And there has been, interestingly enough, a lot of crossover because I will have online business owners who need premarital agreements. And
that's
so
okay, I like
having
that.
Having that knowledge has been kind of interesting. So I'll have like a business client and I end up doing a premarital agreement. And so it's been interesting. But it is two very distinct things. And so I do kind of have to like switch my cap on and off, but there is crossover, which has been really, really fun.
Yeah. Do you ever see it go the other way where like family law clients end up needing contracts or business stuff or trademarks?
I've gotten referrals from family law clients who have family members or friends who have online businesses who end up retaining me for contracts and trademark registration. And I think part of it too really is the fact that I am a boutique law firm and my focus really is my clients. And that's where I really want to stand out. I'm not one of those big mills. I'm not a huge corporate firm. There is a lot of one-to-one and I'm very choosy about who I work with. And so that's kind of where I've been able to establish myself a bit differently is because when you sign up and I work with you as an attorney-client relationship, we do have a lot of one-on-one and there is a lot of education and hand-holding, dare I say it, but that's what I enjoy. That's why I practice law is because of that personal interaction and that I'm affecting them. And it's a big thing. Like they're going to carry that with them. They're starting this foundation for their online business or for their, their family, their new chapter. But that's kind of why I've always decided to stay small and boutique because that's just who I am and what I enjoy. So it's been fun.
Yeah. And it makes you so relatable because the person that you're talking to, whether it's on the family law side or whether it's on the business side, they're like, okay, you get it. Like you have a daughter, you have, your personal life. So you get what I'm saying on that end. But then on the business side, like you do this too. You're also a business owner. And, that's something that I think people appreciate, when you work with somebody to know that they get what where you're coming from.
Yeah. And I think my focus too has been helpful because especially in the online business space, I really do focus on online service providers. So graphic designers, website designers, VAs, coaches, that type of thing, who are in the earlier stages of building their business. So it's like, I have a very niche focus there and I have referral partners for things that are beyond, my scope and my employment law and trademark litigation and those types of things. So it's like, I'm very clear on who I help in that space as well as in my family law space. So it lets me, like I said, be more selective about who I'm taking on as a client, which I didn't have at my old firm. It was kind of like whatever case files ended up on my desk was what I was dealing with, even if I hated the clients. And that's been kind of my personal victory is being able to decide I get to, take this client on or I can tell them no. So.
Yeah, it sounds like it's had such a positive impact on your life in terms of, so let's talk about that a little bit. Talk to me about, where you were in terms of before, and then like, let's talk about the after. Like, okay, we talked about the before. I mean, let's talk about the after now. And, how have things been positively impacted, positive effects, changes, well, business wise and personally?
Yeah. So, I mean, especially with family law, obviously I focus more on the out of court stuff, but it is very, it can become very contentious, and there is still somewhat of a litigation aspect to it. So with discovery and filing deadlines in terms of motions and things like that, and there's still deadlines with trademarks, but it is a much more manageable schedule, shall I say, versus a family law schedule. And so it's let me kind of balance my calendar, which is amazing because I've narrowed my work hours and try and take, this summer I'm taking Wednesdays and Fridays off with my daughter. So the fact that I can do that
Yeah.
is amazing, because I have that flexibility, because I'm not so tied to the family law calendar. I have a little bit more leniency with the trademark calendar, which is nice. And so I'm really building my practice to be more of like a 50-50 versus majority family law and some online business stuff. It's really kind of balanced out to be equal, which has been a personal victory this year. And I'm hoping that maybe it'll tilt more to trademarks after, this year. I'm still trying to build the practice. So we'll see how that goes.
But even to be almost 50-50 within 2 years is so incredible. Like that's such a, in the grand scheme of things, when you think about what it takes to build a practice area and build a law practice, to be almost 50-50 is incredible 2 years later. That's absolutely amazing. Wow. And I love hearing that you're able to get more time with your daughter and to take 2 full days off and not worry about the financials, not worry about any kind of consequences, because, there's the flat fee aspect, there's longer deadlines, there's just more cushion in between when you're doing trademarks versus kind of like that grind every day.
Yeah. And I was really scared, honestly, about the flat fee aspect of it because I was so tied to the billable hour with family law. I don't practice flat fees in the family law practice. So I started incorporating flat fees with the contract area of my business. And so it was something I was knowledgeable with, and I had enough handle on it. And with the trademark, I was kind of like, well, if I build my practice, is the money going to be there? The part for me really has been to focus on referrals and like reliable referral partners who are going to send people who trust my knowledge and want to pay the flat fees and be able to have it be sustainable. And it's kind of, it's covering. So it's not something that I have to worry about. So
yeah, I want to dive into that a little bit because, I think you mentioned this a couple minutes ago where you said, you have a very specific demographic of clients that you serve. They're early stage in these industries and they're online only. It's music to ears of somebody who loves marketing. Cause I'm like, yes, pin it down. It's like, who this person is, what their interests are, what their likes and dislikes are. You've got that avatar that we talk about, right? Like you've designed this person in terms of who you can serve, who you want to work with. Mm-hmm. And so talk to us a little bit about how you went about deciding that was going to be the demographic. And then, I want to hear a little bit more about, how you built out this referral-based system, right? And how that's working for you.
Yeah. So, that really was the demographic that I was serving with the contract part of my practice. So it kind of just flowed naturally because that was who I was looking to serve, right? It was a better service to be more comprehensive for that brand and business protection. So it kind of goes hand in hand for both contracts and the federal trademark registration. The difference was for the custom contracts, I'm limited to California because that's where I'm licensed. And I don't have like a big nationwide firm to where I can feel comfortable with the whole unauthorized practice of law and take risks and draft contracts for other states. Right. I'm just not comfortable there. So it kind of broadens my online business experience to be able to take on other clients in other states. And so I've built up a referral network for other small business attorneys who can help with contracts in other states, which has been fun. So when I refer them things, they have me top of mind too for people in California. So it's kind of, I get referrals there and just sharing. So I really go online in an online mastermind group that I am a part of. I have a local mastermind group I'm a part of, and just kind of sharing what I'm doing in business. And that's kind of how I get my referrals. And they end up referring people when I have clients, which has been great. My past clients are an amazing source of referrals. And I've just really honed in on that part of it versus the paid marketing, because I find at least that the referrals are better clients than those that you would get from, an ad spend. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there are people that already know you. There's that trust factor that we hear about all the time. And they've already kind of gotten some credibility with you in some way. Someone knows you or you worked with them in some way, or, there's that past credibility versus, just cold marketing. It works, but it's definitely much more of a volume and numbers game.
Yeah.
So I know that, I'm sure with having, 2 practice areas, coming from one that really, really well, and then building up another one. What is sort of your approach when it comes to, I know we're not doing a ton of, marketing, like you said, but even just things like website or, when you introduce yourself, do you kind of take it based on context? Like how have you gone about branding yourself given these two different practice areas?
Yeah. So, my website basically says when you need a top-notch attorney without the stuffy office, and that's kind of how I've branded myself. And so I literally say, like, I can help you from your home, whether you're going through a divorce and you want to stay out of the courtroom, or you're an online business owner looking to protect yourself and your brand. And it's kind of, this catchphrase essentially that I've built. So it's this and the or, and depending on where I am. So if I'm going into network for my family law practice, then I focus on family law. Or if I'm going into like my online mastermind, my focus is my online business. So I do kind of make the choice about who my audience is. Sometimes I advertise both, sometimes one or the other. And it's kind of just me, gauging who I'm talking to and what their needs are. But I'm finding that more and more people are accepting that.
Yeah.
It's kind of who I am in the practice I've built. And I've had more people think that it's kind of cool that I have branched out after being kind of pigeonholed in one practice area for so long. Because I think for attorneys especially, it's really scary to switch practice areas or add a practice area, because you get set in that area, and the thought of putting in more time to re-educate yourself and try something new can be really scary. And, it was kind of one of those, you only live once and I'm not going to know unless I try type of thought processes for me. And I always tell my daughter, like, she forced me to become an accidental entrepreneur, because she let me kind of try things when I was trying to figure out who I was as a mom and an attorney. And it's broadened beyond anything that I thought it ever would be. And it's been a really fun journey. And, adding trademarks to my practice has done nothing but open up doors and conversations. And it's been really, really fun.
I'm so happy to hear that. And you make it look so easy. You're a mom, you're an entrepreneur, you're already practicing one area, which is, like you said, very contentious, very time consuming and stressful. And then to take on a different practice area. But I love what you said, is that you only live once. And if you're not happy, something in you is not fully happy, right? You're not feeling fully fulfilled. And so it does kind of drive you to think about other things, but I think a lot of people can resonate being in those shoes, parent or not, but that unhappiness and just not loving where you are. But you touch on something that's important, which is that, it can be really scary and daunting. How did you get over that fear, or sort of like take that on to say, I'm going to do this even though I'm scared. I'm going to do this even though I'm nervous. And I don't know whether the investment's going to pay off, the time's going to pay off.
It was kind of one of those, do I want to live my life? I looked around at a lot of the more seasoned family law attorneys in my area who were retiring with health problems. And after having conversations with some of them, hearing them talk about the decisions that they would have made prior to if they had a second go round. And it kind of just made me take stock. Like, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be in 20, 30 years looking back like, oh my God, why did I stick with this? Or why didn't I try something new? And so it was more, the end product, I think, could be worse than not trying and potentially failing. At least I tried. I could say I tried.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. And that's it's such a mindset thing. It starts up here. It's not a question of, can I do this? Is it actually, of course it's actually possible. And
it's funny because I find that when I share that and when I express kind of why I branched out, because I still love family law and I still take cases on, and I probably always will, but I'm just, like I said, very selective about the cases I take on now. But it's just a different intellectual challenge on the online business side of things. And I really just enjoy working with those early stage entrepreneurs. It's very fulfilling for me. And that fulfillment, like, I wouldn't trade that for anything. And I would rather set that example. And so when I share that with other people that I'm networking with, or, when I'm explaining my practice, I've had nothing but support, quite frankly. And I think part of that is surrounding yourself with people who are going to be supportive and help you kind of propel yourself forward. And I just kind of haven't looked back. And I think we really do need to focus on that mindset piece of it and stop worrying about what other people are going to think and what makes us happy. And that's kind of what my mindset has always been, is like, I'm going to try and I'm going to see what happens. And if it doesn't work, oh, well, I tried.
But it sounds like it's working just great. Yeah, it's working just great. I mean, I'm like, I love what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that you're more fulfilled. You're feeling happier. You're enjoying your career holistically again. And you're finding aspects of ways to add value, which we don't really necessarily always get as lawyers, right? Sometimes we feel like we're just pushing things around on the desk, pushing paper and just answering emails all day. But to feel like you're actually having an impact, it goes deeper than just sort of like checking off a box and saying, oh, I practice law. I love hearing that. That's all. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So we talked a little bit about, your transition. We talked about, kind of the fears that you had. Obviously you're happier. Obviously you're feeling more fulfilled. I'd be remiss if we didn't touch a little bit, if you're comfortable, on the numerics to the extent that you want to get in or out of it. But I think it's a natural question that every law firm lawyer owner or law firm owner lawyer has, who might be thinking about, the ROI on a decision like this, right? Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about, the investment level, how the ROI has been for you, where you are revenue wise. Again, you can be as specific or general as you want.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've built the trademark piece up to where I'm consistently probably getting at least, it varies, but between 5 to 10 new trademark clients or referrals reaching out weekly, which, in the scheme of things is a lot considering.
That's a ton. Oh my God. When you think about the average new matter is like 2,500, 3,500 plus. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Good for you.
So, and like I said, I'm choosy. So sometimes I will, a lot of it is education. So in the online business space, I find that the word trademark is a buzzword. It's something that's thrown around a lot, and not everybody has something that is registerable. And so I have started charging for my consults, which was a big thing for me to hold that space on my calendar. And because I've always done that for family law, and I wasn't doing that at the beginning for trademark law.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
And so I added that this year. I started charging because I would find that people would cancel the consult, and I held the space on my calendar, and it just messed everything up. So yeah, now I look at it like, okay, I have a half an hour that is paid where I'm educating them. And if they're not ready to move forward, they're not. But I do apply that registration or the consult fee to the registration package if they decide to move forward within 60 days, which may change. I may shorten the timeline a bit. But I find that for people who have come in through the consults that maybe they're, whatever it is, they're just not ready to move forward with registration, they have gone out and said good things. And that's how I've gotten referrals too. So I'm still building the network, but the pipeline's definitely, it's there. And it's been interesting to see the ways that referrals come in.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing is that you've turned it upside down. People are paying you somehow to send you clients. I'm like, wait a second, how did she do that? I love that. I love that. You're like, well, the consult didn't work out with you, but then, it's like you got paid for that consult, and it's like, wow.
And the latest thing that has been actually a really good source of referrals for me is working with other website designers and other brand designers, to where they have clients come in who they know are building like this brand that needs to be protected. And so that's been something I've been focusing on the last couple of months, is building those connections, and those have started to pay off in referrals. So I'm really excited because I think by next year, it's probably going to be like this with trademark.
This is only the beginning. Yeah. I mean, may this be your worst year in business. Yes. I mean, this is just the beginning. I can't believe you're averaging 5 to 10 new clients a week. That's absolutely mind-blowing, incredible. And like to hear that you've honed in on this referral building strategy, and that you've honed in on really figuring out what works for you. It sounds like someone was paying attention in the building referral trainings and the wow factor trainings and all the Empire stuff. So let's talk about that for a second. So you initially enrolled in Boss of Myself, which was, okay, I want to learn trademarks. That's what I want to do. Okay, great. At what point, or like what happened to where you were like, oh, wait a second, I need more and I want the rest of it? Like what happened in your brain as you were watching the modules?
So I had signed up thinking I was going to learn trademarks, and eventually I was going to kind of add it and start advertising it. It was kind of, I started letting my current clients know that it was something I was doing, and kind of dripped it to people that I was friends with in the online space. And then it was kind of like, oh, this is something that I could build. Like, this is something I legitimately could do as I was going through and as I got more confident. And it was like, well, I kind of want to know like the full, like everything was so good. I'm like, this is so good. I bet the marketing is amazing. So I was like, okay, I have to sign up and
Oh my God. Okay. And what do we think? What do we
Well, so
regret our
I built
decision?
an amazing referral business. So
Sounds like you built an empire, as the course name suggests. So that's good.
yeah.
Wow.
So, and it's funny because like, I'll go listen, like I like to put it on when I'm on the treadmill and I'm getting steps in. So I'll listen and I get like these little nuggets that make me think not even just the trademark piece, but also in the family law practice. So I've been able to kind of apply it in different ways, which I think is a testament to your teaching ability, because
you can, I mean, yeah, marketing is marketing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's been great because, you know, my family law practice is actually built as well because of it. And I've had to start because I'm taking more time off this summer, I've had to start turning clients away and saying I'm too busy, I can't take things on, because
what a good problem to have.
Space. I know. And I'm protecting that space this summer. So I've had a few people respond and say, okay, we'll talk in August when you're back.
Yeah, just hang tight through the summer. Yeah. You two figure it out. Yeah. I love that. I love that. And it sounds like also like you're taking the marketing in the way that it was intended, which is we don't want everyone and everything. We want the types of matters and the types of clients that we want. And that's what we're teaching you to bring in. It sounds like you've been able to hone down even in family law, like to, you know, bring in the kind of stuff that you want and kind of let the other side of it. And you have the luxury now of only taking the stuff that you want, which again, you're less miserable and dare I say happier, you know, it's such a crazy concept. I mean, wow.
It's something that I just never thought was possible, quite frankly, because especially when you're in big law firm life and you look around and you kind of take stock of people, it's just not something that's mirrored. It's kind of like you live at the office, you grind, you deal with crappy people all the time, and you're just miserable and, you know, eating your feelings.
I know. Eating your feelings, eating bad food, not exercising, not getting fresh air, like dehydrated, and you're just like, okay, drink a glass of water, like it's okay.
And like now I protect my sleep and I make sure that I'm like getting steps in, and I force myself to walk away from my desk, and I've like there's so much personal wellness that has come, and I'm able to protect that space and know when to say no. And so it's really given me, I think, more flexibility to really focus on those things, which I am forever grateful for. So
I have goosebumps because I'm just like, to hear your career is getting better, your life is getting better, you're happier as a person, you're happier as a mom, like you're showing up in all these different roles of your life as a better Nicole. And like, that's just like, it's mind blowing because it's, you know, I can't even talk because I'm so like overwhelmed. I'm just like, as someone who teaches like a legal course, to think about that impact of like throwing a rock in a pond and seeing the ripple effect of that is just, it's so amazing.
Well, and the fact that you're building this community of other people who are doing the law differently, right? They're able to build a practice they're passionate about, work with clients that they enjoy working with, protect that space. You know, it's just refreshing. It's so refreshing to have that little corner. It's like my favorite little corner of the inner woods is to go into that little community.
Mine too. And especially because like, I can't take credit for this aspect, but I really do feel like everyone is just so nice and so supportive. And like you said, not judgmental. Like that's not, you know, I mean, it's in the rules that we won't tolerate it, but I don't ever have to like, I don't feel like I have to moderate bullying really. Like what I moderate, you know, a lot of is like spam articles or like people, you know, like you guys never see it because we nix it before it even really has airtime. But that's really, you know, like, it's not people being snarky or judgmental or mean about, oh, you don't know that. And because the idea is that this is a practice area that a lot of people didn't know enough about, that it even existed as an option, let alone, you know, what all you could do with it in this space. And that is something I'm really enjoying. And this season for myself is seeing all the different prisms of how it looks. And it's, I never imagined, you know, you've got people teaching it as a professor, right? As an adjunct, like they're in academia. You have people like yourself who have mixed it with another practice area and found a way that it fits for them. You have, you know, I can name you exactly one person who is a full-time news anchor, and then she does trademark law on the side. And I'm just like, this isn't, and then you have, you know, you have other people like me who are not parents, right? And we're sort of using that mobility and that freedom to travel and to be location independent. And then you have people who have children who are showing up as the parents they never thought they could be, with time off and playing and hanging out because they're not stressed anymore about, about what they're doing. So it's so cool to see all the different ways it can look. It's like a little mosaic. It's fun.
Yeah. And I think it's a testament to kind of the people that you draw into to be able to kind of share. Everybody's got a unique story. And I think we all kind of come around and commiserate about this really fun area of law. And, we can all kind of joke about some of the things that make it through to registration. Just that space to air frustrations and commentary. And it's been great.
Like the little inside jokes that we have about like getting a 2D refusal, like no one knows but us, like how awful that can be, and beating it. But it's like the most exhilarating feeling is when you beat it and you're like, oh, only my people get that, and it's that part is what that's the part I envisioned, because when I was starting out in trademarks 12 and a half years ago, I would have killed for the chance to have anyone to tell that I beat a 2D at work. Like when I was an associate, I'm like, you guys, I have a best day. Like it got reversed and now it's going to go. And you're just like, I don't even know what that means. Like, you go to happy hour with your girlfriends, or like you go to like dinner and it's like, I had a win at work, and it's like, that's cool. Like, oh, great. Like, but they don't really get it. And like, you guys get it, right? We get it. And I just wanted to be able to have a place where you could report your wins, like you said, commiserate about your losses or the frustrations, which exist in any area of law. But I'd like to think they're fewer and far between in what we do. It is happier law. And I didn't design that part, but it is nice to be able to share that. You touched on one thing that I think is important to kind of zoom in on slightly, is that, it is a community. There are tons of us now that are either expanding this area, learning about it, adding it like you did. What would your response be, or what's your take on sometimes, people have like a limiting belief or a fear that, are there too many people learning trademarks now? Is there enough work to go around? Obviously you're not part of that. I mean, you're not seeing that at all. And I don't think that's the case, but as someone who entered this field not that long ago, like what would you say to something like that?
I think that when you're really clear on the people that you serve, you don't have to worry about it, because when you're talking to your people, and kind of getting the word out, they're going to find you. And I don't think that there's a shortage of businesses being formed or brands being built, especially in, today's virtual day and age. I think, the rate of business growth is kind of exponential right now. And you have return clients, and you have, there's just so much potential and possibility out there for any area of law. But I'm finding specifically with trademark law, it's just grown. And I think once you start getting out there and talking about it and kind of owning kind of that little niche that you build for yourself, it follows. I think that the clients come. So.
Yeah, I think so too. But I want to hear it from somebody who isn't me. Right. And I think that's very important, and that's a big reason why, I like to do these videos and these interviews, is because, I don't ever want to be thought of as like a fluke or like a random, like lightning strike of a story of like, okay, one person pulled it off. They're happy. They're doing it. And you have no shortage. Cause also I've been doing it for 12 and a half years. So it would be embarrassing if I didn't have steady clientele at this point, like you're doing nothing but trademarks and you don't have enough clients, but for someone who's coming in new, like your perspective is so valuable. And again, I think speaks to someone who may be wondering, like, is there room for me too?
Yeah. And I think it's funny because like I said, trademark is kind of a buzzword in the online space that I serve. So a lot of my business really is education. So I do get people who have heard the buzzword and come and they're asking for something to be protected that's not protectable. And maybe I refer them to a copyright attorney, or they really just need the education piece to know if they're ready or if they should wait. And so that's been kind of the little niche I've carved out for myself, really is in that kind of educational strategy type area. And I think you can only learn that by doing and by growing. And I just think you just need to get out there and try, and you'll see what happens after that.
I mean, one page out of your book and people could see it differently. I mean, this is incredible what and this is only the beginning. Like I'm from the moment you found the course, watched all the videos, implement. I mean, all that is 2 years into where oh my God, this is absolutely incredible. Incredible. So I think you've alluded to this throughout, that you are happy with the course, but what would you say last question, because I want to be respectful of your time. What would you say to somebody who's on the fence about the course, or trying to decide between the two versions? Because, you did have that unique thing about where you were like, I need the rest of it.
I mean, it pays for itself, quite frankly. I think that the upgraded version the marketing training that you get, that community aspect, the calls with you. I mean, just our one call that we have, and I still have one more.
Yeah, you have another one.
Really kind of even encouraged me to like really continue to increase my pricing and like really, you know, build. And so, I mean, like I said, it pays for itself. And nobody that is practicing really has the time to go just learn another practice area before they start practicing. I mean, it's just not possible if we're being honest. So the fact that 2 weeks to trademark will give you the tools to kind of get up and running so that you can learn as you go it's amazing. Like, I don't think that there's anything else out there like this. And the fact that you are so supportive and so available for questions and so hands-on in your teaching, like it's invaluable. So
thank you. I mean, I'm so glad that you're glad that you took it. Like, I'm glad that you're happy with it, because, you know, when you create something, that's all that you want, right? And if you think of, you know, how you are in your law practice, you're like, you know, you do something for a client, you just want it to be good and you want them to love it and you want them to be happy. And it just gives you fulfillment back. So to hear that you're I mean, I gave you an inch, you took a foot, and you've run with it. You've absolutely run with it. And I love that you put your own spice on it, because it's such a unique story. It's incredible. Well, congratulations on all.
Thank you. And thank you for, I mean, doing this. Thank you for being you. That's all I can say.
Thank you for trusting me also to teach you, because that, you know, that's something that we don't talk enough about, I think, is also like, it's your own fear and your own mental lead, but also to put trust in someone else and saying, you got this, right? Like, you know, I'm putting my time in you, my money in you, my energy in you. Like, is this going to be okay? And it's like, I got you, don't worry, you know, but I'm so glad. And I'm so proud of you. And I cannot wait to hear how your summer went of Wednesdays and Fridays off.
I'm so excited about
it. Do you have anything planned, or is it just like wake up and decide what it's going to be?
So it's kind of just wake up. Next week, we're going to the mountains. So I'm like unplugging all next week. And then, yeah, so she's really excited. My daughter's really excited about going to the library and going for hikes. So it's kind of just going to be whatever we decide to do that day.
Fun. How old is she now?
She's 6. So.
Oh my gosh. Wait, so she's almost as old as the law practice, give or take.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I don't how you did all this with basically a toddler, and then just like the law practice is growing up with her. Oh my gosh. Well, enjoy your summer Wednesdays, summer Fridays, enjoy your travels, and you know how to find me. I'll see you in the reteach, hopefully. Yes. And of course, if you need anything outside of that, you know how to find me. So
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Bye.